Hello and welcome to Console Shock, retro and modern gaming chat with me, Trev, and as usual, Stu. How's it going,
Hi,
babes?
Trev. Babes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going really well, babes. Yeah, really going well.
That.
Yeah.
Don't call me that, Stu. How are you doing?
All right, sugar tits.
You call me that, yeah, that's absolutely fine. How are things in the world of video games on your end?
Man.
Your
Do you know
side?
what? I feel like I'm between games. I've
Yes.
I tried playing Black Mesa, couldn't get into that. Did a few levels.
Oh, the Half-Life. Yeah, I know. I bought that ages ago. It's always like a few quid.
Yeah,
and I've got the original half. Go on, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, well, it was £1.50 the other week.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll buy that. I'll give that a go, and then it's just getting to. I'm just not quite gelling with it. It's not.
I'm with you.
No, I can't gel with it. And I really liked Half-Life 2, but Half-Life this Black Mesa, which is a Mesa. Mesa. It's like a remake of the original Half-Life 1, but with much newer graphics and stuff. I don't really know when it was done and things like that, but it looks really nice, plays really well, but it's still, I don't know, it feels slightly janky. And
well, the thing is, I think it's been developed by basically fans, but the trouble is they started making this in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and they finished it. But the trouble is, they finished it, but from a game that, a remake effectively that they started 15 years ago. So the remake kind of looks dated already. It looks kind of like a PS3 or an Xbox 360 game. So yeah. But no, I'm with you because I think I've got actual Half-Life and Black Mesa, but I just can't get into it. The storyline doesn't really do anything for me. I know it's an amazing game, but I wasn't a PC gamer. At the end of the 90s, I was just console, so it completely passed me by. I've never been massively into first-person shooters. Like the odd one will really grab me, but probably it's boring. But yeah, I'll probably just say GoldenEye is probably my favourite of all of them. Never been a terrible game, yeah. I've never been into Halo. Didn't grab me when it came out. It was okay. I played it, but
my first choice of game is first-person shooters, and I want to get into. Anyway, I tried to get into Oblivion. Couldn't really. It didn't really grab me, so I've taken that off the hard drive now. And then, but my next one is probably going to be.
Was that the remaster though? Was that the remaster?
It was, yeah.
Right. You didn't get on with it.
No. The new Doom, the Dark Ages. That'll probably be the next game that I really get into. But the actually one I did a stream last night. So if anyone, if you're one of the 6 people that watched this stream last night over the last 24 hours. On the Epic Game Store at the moment is Deliver at All Costs is free, and it's basically this sort of isometric game where you got to deliver stuff all around this sort of city, and there's a little bit of a silly. What's that?
It's Paperboy.
Well, yeah, kind of like Paperboy. And that's good fun. I can't see myself completing it. I can see myself playing more of it. But I wouldn't see myself completing it.
What a glowing review there, Stu.
It's 7 out of 10 could do better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
well,
3 out of 5.
What was it? It was like the second mission. You got to drive around, and the whole idea is you can drive everywhere, you can smash into things, and then you got this like pickup truck, and then the back of it is full of watermelons. And then you've got to drive really slowly and carefully so you don't lose all the watermelons. And it was like, this is a bit boring, isn't it? I'm driving really slowly to get to pick up, making sure the watermelons, if you brake too hard, then the watermelons pop out. So I'm sure it gets a bit more exciting sort of further in, and there's lots of sort of fun things you can do with it. So I did a live stream last night. But talking about a live stream, you've done a bit of streaming, haven't you, Trev?
I've been streaming everywhere. Purely video game ones I'm talking about, of course. But we're getting to that age now where that could be the case as well in other areas. But Yeah. Yeah, I have. I mean, I've tried to figure out how to do it from a Steam Deck, actually, because obviously in terms of PC gaming, that's what I tend to use.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are ways of doing it. Probably, maybe I've got to download some plugin or something, or it's just something I haven't stumbled across yet. But yeah, I haven't really managed to get anything like that going on the Steam Deck. But as we're about to touch upon, I picked up a PS5 in the last few weeks, and obviously that's got like built-in streaming. That's fairly straightforward and painless and easy to set up. So yeah, basically I was able to get that going, and it streams to our YouTube channel, Console Shock. And the game that I've been playing on the PS5 is Space Marine 2. So yeah, I've just been playing a bit of that on there. I might try and stream one or two other games. Weirdly, I did start playing one of the PSP games that is on the PS5, Ridge Racer 2.
Nice. I actually watched a bit of that.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, I used to love the PSP Ridge Racer games on the actual hardware back in the day. You can they've actually made there's a PSP emulator on the PS5, and Ridge Racer 2 is on it. And it's probably about the best Ridge Racer game. Although 7 probably is the best, but Ridge Racer 2 plays really well on even with the graphics upscaled, it still looks pretty decent. The only thing that looks a bit janky is like the UI elements, like the speedometer and your position in the race, and they haven't made any attempt to kind of upscale any of that. But the actual game graphics themselves look pretty decent, which is kind of a testament to how good the PSP kind of was, really. I mean, those graphics were mind-blowing on such a small little device, back in sort of 2005. When the PSP came out, and Ridge Racer was one of the first games that kind of Wipeout Pure were two big showcases of that console. So yeah, that's pretty cool to be able to play that on the PS5 with a DualSense controller on the big screen. And yeah, streamed a bit of that. Did play some Space Marine 2 yesterday, and I actually tried to stream it, and it said it was doing it, but then I checked our channel afterwards, and it wasn't there. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe the connection didn't actually quite
can you
up.
Obviously, can you put, because when I stream, obviously no one watches it, but I am talking while I'm streaming. I've got a microphone, I've got a little camera, and I've set it up as best as I can. And maybe if I more people watch it, I might, I don't know, try and improve it a bit more. But what? Can you not sort of set up the voice so you can sort of talk while you're playing it, or is that not something you're interested in doing?
To be honest, it's not really something that I'm into, mainly because the PS5 is in our living room. So when I'm playing it on there, chances are my girlfriend's kind of sat next to me reading a book or doing something else. So me sort of like commentating over the top of a video game would probably get a bit annoying for both of us. But it would be very easy to do if I wanted to, because the DualSense, I mean, I could obviously attach a mic to my headphones and put on some headphones, but the DualSense controller has a mic built into it.
Oh, okay.
So you haven't got to wear a mic or anything, or you could just talk, as long as your controller, wherever it is, you're going to have it close to you because it's a controller. It's going to be on you. It'll pick up your voice. So yeah, you absolutely can commentate. But yeah, just the way I play the PS5, it doesn't really work. So from the PS5, you'll probably be seeing me do other games as well as I get more of them. And the moment Space Marine 2 is the main one, but working my way through that.
What do you think of Space Marine 2?
Well, I loved Space Marine, the original, back in the day in like 2011 when that came out. Wow, there's such a big gap between the two games. Although yesterday they literally announced a remake or remaster of Space Marine 1.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Coming out on Game Pass and Xbox. Not on PS5 though, but I think it's probably just a time thing. I think it's probably going to come out in a few months. But so weirdly, when I read, like when I watch other people doing gameplay on like YouTube or other people talking about the game, Space Marine 2, nearly everybody I see is like, "Oh, I never played the first one, but it looks so cool." So it's weird. It's amazing. I think they obviously saw that and thought we should bring out the first one again so they can play it.
It's really odd because you know, back on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, I was a huge fan. You know, talked about them before. You know, the Gears of War games. I've really enjoyed these.
Yeah.
And then it was like there was well, hold on. There's this Space Marine game, and I've never liked Warhammer, so that's maybe why I've never picked it up. But no one ever sort of suggested it to me, or was like, "Oh, actually, yeah, this is really good. Go and play that." And so I'm weird. And then it's like when Space Marine 2 came out, there were all these reviews. Oh, it's brilliant. It's it's like real next generation Gears of War type game. It's it's just big. Oh, I sound big muscly men with machine guns. That's right up my street, really.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like the first one. I'm kind of thinking. Maybe I looked at it and I thought, was that some sort of was it real time strategy game, or is it is it a bit of shooting? Then you got to move your characters around the field, or I don't know, or something like that. And now I'm really regretting never going and playing that. And it's been on a sale on Steam a couple of times maybe, and I should really sort of pick it up. But now it's coming out a remaster, the first one on Game Pass. I'm genuinely excited for that, and I'll certainly sort of pick that up because it's sort of right up my street, really. Yeah.
So it's I do like Warhammer. I like I like science fiction things generally, but I do like the Warhammer 40,000 kind of universe. I don't think I've ever really played the physical tabletop game. I've never tried to make the models or anything. When I was a kid, I was semi like interested in that, but never really went the whole hog with it. But I do like the lore and the characters and the sort of and all of that. And Space Marine, the first one, was a pure action game, which hadn't really happened in terms of the Warhammer video games that have been coming out since the 90s. And a lot of people compared it to Gears of War, but it's like it in the sense that it's like an over the shoulder game, but it's kind of the reverse of Gears of War, where Gears of War, it's mainly about the gunplay. And you very rarely do any melee kind of stuff. Only when you end up someone right on you, you might need to do it. But Space Marine's the opposite, where it's all about the melee, and almost like a slower paced Platinum Games kind of spectacle fighter type thing. But there is gunplay, and you do a decent amount of it. But I would say it's sort of 70% melee sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. Maybe I won't like it then.
Well, it depends, I think give it a go as it's on Game Pass. You're not paying.
I did play. I don't know if you gave it a go, but the Warhammer game, I want to say Bolt Gun.
Oh yeah, it's like they call it boomer shooter now. I've got it.
Boomer shooter.
I've played it yet.
Yeah, that was sort of really good. I didn't finish it, but from what I played, I did really enjoy that, and you can sort of change the sort of the graphic settings to more retro looking and more
pixelated and quite
pixelated, and then more modern and things. And that was actually sort of quite a tough game. I think actually that's why I sort of gave up on it. I think, but I'd recommend that, and that was on Game Pass for a long while. So potentially give that a shout. Give that a go.
Yeah, I've got it. I think it's sat in my my Steam library. I think it's a good one for the Steam Deck as well. I don't think it needs particularly high requirements.
No.
The same goes for the first Space Marine game. It's a game from 2011. It's a sort of PS360 era game. It runs really well on the Steam Deck. Really good game for that kind of device as well. A sort of third-person action game. Sort of 8-10 hour campaign that's pretty straightforward.
Perfect length. Did I mention the last one? I completed the game Fear on the PC.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
And that's it's really good, but it's I think it was the gunplay was really good on it. The all the sort of the particle effects and but then by the end of it felt like, what was all this? It was always trying to scare you, and then that just lost all of its like, oh well, I sort of just, that wasn't really that interesting to me, the scaring bits. And then it was quite funny how it was just endless offices of offices of offices. Like you were just walking through an endless corridor of offices, and then you had to climb
The Resident
somewhere
Evil
else.
2.
Yeah, it was just like, hold on, a building wouldn't be built like this. And I know it sounds a little bit silly, but you were just sort of, you were taken out of reality a little bit by this, like 5 levels in a row of just going through offices, then 5 levels in a row of just going through the same type of warehouse. Then I did enjoy it, but it slightly overdid its welcome. Is that the right term? And So anyway, Trev, what made you get into the current gen of getting a PlayStation 5? What was the decision behind that?
Well, actually, I will, just before we dive into that, I'll just jump back to what you were saying about fear. Like, it's funny because I've played, I really enjoyed the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. 2 is a lot longer than 3. 3 is like 6-7 hours long. It's very short, actually. But 2 has a lot. You spend a lot of time, probably over half of the game in that police station. But I never felt particularly. I mean, the original versions of those games I found quite tedious, and they're very cryptic and kind of difficult to kind of get a flow going. I mean, that's just, they're not linear games; they're kind of supposed to be like that. But the remakes are way better at helping you sort of get through those. Well, I didn't feel bored or found it to be tedious, really. So I don't know if you've played those, but I recommend those if you like that vibe.
Yeah, I did Resident Evil 2. I did Resident Evil, what was it, 6 or whatever it was. But number 2, I really, really enjoyed. But I have to admit, I had to put it onto sort of easy mode or whatever. And
there's one that it guides you a bit better, doesn't it, with the various clues?
Yeah, I think it wasn't quite guiding you. It was more...
You knew where to go next fairly easily, yeah.
Yeah, it gave you a little bit more, maybe a little bit more direction, but more ammo, a little bit more life, and it was less survival, more horror, maybe, and I found that made it sort of possible for me to sort of get through the game. But I got number Resident Evil 3, and I don't know, I think I did about an hour of that. I should go back to it because it's still on my Xbox account.
3's pretty good. It's a bit more action orientated. And it's mostly revolves around being chased by the Nemesis character that also is in 2. Doesn't turn up in 2 until fairly late on. And it's a lot shorter. It's about half as long as 2. I've actually got Resident Evil 4 remake, and I just all these games run really well on the Steam Deck. 2, 3, and 4 remake. That's what I played 2 and 3 on. Part of the reason why I was able to get through a lot of these games now is just being able to pick up and play them like that on the Steam Deck. 4's on my next to play, because everyone says that's not the best one. Back in the day, the original, it was the best one, wasn't it, on the GameCube? But the remake is even better. So I'm looking forward to
Resident Evil 4. I remember getting it actually on. I got the GameCube version, but not on the GameCube original time. So I think I got it and thought, everyone talked really highly about this. So I got Resident Evil 4 and I played it, and it had the most janky backwards controls.
It's difficult now, isn't it, to get into? Yeah.
And I was
very slow paced. You're constantly going. It's like this with the other Resident Evil games. If you play them now, the originals, the modern ones are obviously a lot better, but a lot more modern, obviously. But the old ones, you got obviously you stop in your tracks and turn around, and you have to open the menu and go into a sub menu to get this item and equip your gun. You have to go into a menu, and it's just really, really difficult. Obviously, the new version, I'm sure, has done away with all of that, and it's a lot more smoother. But I remember trying the 4th one a whole bunch of times before these remakes, with everybody just insisting that it's amazing, and I'm sure it was from day one. But I remember I struggled with the jankiness of the menus and the controls. A few years after the fact, I think we made the same point about Metroid Prime as well.
Oh God,
play that now.
It just they haven't really now they've really sort of honed in on the correct controls for these types of games, because otherwise they're just going back to them, and actually it's better to play them on the PC because you can rebind all of your keys, and so many games. I was playing Quake 2. I picked that up for about 50p from CX, and I put it in my retro computer. And the WASD, that it didn't have that. You had to use the arrows.
Yeah, that's right.
And the left and right weren't strafe left and strafe right. It was turn left and turn right. So I sat down for about 10 minutes just going, hold on, right, let's change this, let's change that. And then I got it down, and it was just like, oh, actually, yeah, this has gone from a game it's impossible for me to play because the controls are just absolutely awful to something now that, okay, I'm playing an older game, but it just feels like I'm playing, Call of Duty or, the latest Doom or something, because it's got all the buttons in the right place, so you don't have to sort of think about things, and it was so much better. But so actually might try to get the old Resident Evil on the PC, see if I can change the keys around. But
you should. It's funny enough you mentioned Quake 2 because there was that remake that came out a couple of years ago, and it's obviously way better. It's got the modern controls. You can have it look exactly the same as the old school graphics, or you can have updated graphics. The best thing is it's got now it's got like a map. It basically, you press a button and it overlays a compass that tells you exactly where to go next. Obviously, these were very labyrinth-like and maze-like levels that it wasn't always clear where you needed to go, and it wouldn't tell you or even give you any real hint at where to go.
No, that's it. You hit a button, and somewhere, and you're like, well, what's happened? And then, back 5 minutes ago, a wall's disappeared, and then, I'll go through here now. And
exactly.
And
the good thing about the Quake 2 that it literally just overlays like a bunch of arrows on the floor, so you haven't got to pause and go into a map just to see where the line is. It literally just does it in front of you.
Okay, that's good.
Kind of like I can't remember if you've played the Dead Space games, but Dead Space is a really good guide thing where you just press a button and it just puts a line in front of you like a GPS, and you just follow it. It's basically like that, so it does make that sort of aspect a lot better. But if you've got Game Pass,
I played a little while ago. The Atomfall game came out on the PC, and I was like, oh, okay, this looks really good, looks really interesting. And I'll be honest, I found all the puzzles and talking to people, trying to work out where to go, really quite difficult. And so I think I found a little bit, but I was really struggling having to watch guides and stuff. So then you can turn down the settings to make it a little bit more like an action game, and then they just tell you where to go. And then I didn't find it fun. It was really odd. It was like, so I just have to go there then, and I have to do this. But I sort of want to work it out, but I want it to be easier.
You kind of want it halfway,
I wanted it halfway, like, instead of giving me a riddle, give me a little bit like, head there and, speak to that person, and maybe, I don't know, make it a little bit easier. But it was a good-looking game. I did enjoy that for the couple of hours I played it.
I'm with you on that one. I'm all about giving you a bit more guidance on things. There's some people screaming at us saying that's what's fun about a game, walking around. But not for me.
They've got a real point. They've got a good point, and it's fair to say that it's and just getting handed on a plate. But I think generally with that, I was like, I really try to get my head around it and understand the systems of the game, but. It was. I think it was too tough for me. So maybe I think there was a setting where you could have it. Actually, it's easier, but you still have to work out the puzzles. Maybe that would have been fine for me.
I'm all about quest markers. Give me all the quest markers you want. I think they're great. Anyway, we already touched upon it a couple of times now, but I got a PS5, so. It's a funny one, really. I mean, partly it was actually motivated by wanting to play Space Marine 2. Obviously a current gen only game. It's a game that my sort of primary gaming platform is PC and mainly the Steam Deck. I don't have a big PC gaming rig anymore. I'm not really planning on. PC gaming is very expensive now. We sort of touched upon it in the PC value equation episode we did not that long ago. Didn't really want to spend $1,000 on something that would give me, a bit better than PS5 level sort of graphics. And also basically would need to be tethered to a desk. Well, I know obviously you could plug these things into a TV, but it's not going to be a great experience if you're using Windows and a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse.
You got to have a desk for PC gaming and
yeah. I don't really want to be sat at a desk when that's what I do for a living anyway. So hopefully that might change if Valve, or someone like them make Steam OS desktop, like a super Steam Deck that has a GTX 50, something in there, but has Steam OS, which will drive perfectly for being sat on the sofa and everything. I plug my Steam Deck into the TV quite often as well to play games, and it's perfect. It runs brilliantly on there. But yeah, Space Marine 2 doesn't really run great on the Steam Deck, although weirdly I watched a video recently where they've done a patch and it could pretty much keep at about 30 frames a second, but with heavy use of FSR, so you're looking at a fairly pixelated image, though it's kind of amazing that it runs at all, really, to any playable degree. But yeah, that was a big motivation to be able to play that finally, because it looked like it wasn't really going to be a great experience on the Steam Deck. Just one of those games that's a little bit too heavy for it. So there was that.
A quick question regarding the PlayStation. Now, are you a pro or a noob?
A pro or a noob?
Well, did you buy the pro?
Don't you mean amateur? Isn't that the opposite?
Amateur. Oh yeah, no, actually, yeah. Are you a PlayStation Pro or a PlayStation Amateur?
PlayStation Amateur. So yeah, I kind of thinking about that episode we did do where we talked about the PS5 Pro. Again, sort of listening to our own advice there and kind of actually acting upon it. I mean, I thought the PS5 Pro is pretty much a waste of money. You get a boost in performance, but I don't think it's worth £700 minus a disk drive. What we said in that episode about the Pro is you're better off taking that amount of money, buying the PS5 Amateur, and then using that extra cash to get the VR. And that's essentially what I've done. I've got the VR2 as well. So as well as the I've just got the standard PS5 that obviously comes, but the one with the disc drive. So yeah, pretty happy with that setup in the end. And aside from although I always enjoyed the VR on the PS4, I didn't play it as much as I probably would have because it was very clunky to set up. All the cables and various boxes being plugged in and out and everything. So I was always intrigued by VR2, with it essentially being one cable and that's it. Although I guess that's been superseded now with the Quest where it's no cables. But obviously, the performance of the Quest isn't quite up there with the PSVR, because it's a mobile kind of chipset, isn't it, inside the VR there. But yeah, that was obviously something that did interest me was the VR2. It's a lot cheaper now than it was at launch. It's about £100 less than it used to be. Well, the PS5 is unfortunately more expensive than it used to be, but I guess I've probably offset the two, and it's ended up being about what it would have been a year or two ago to get both. But yeah, wanting to play the VR2. The VR2 also can work with the PC. Probably not something you'd want to use on a Steam Deck, mind, but if I ever do get a PC, potentially I've got a VR headset for it with the VR2. So being able to play VR was another motivation, finally diving in. And also, I've talked before about how what I love about the Steam Deck is just being able to pick up and play it, sort of AAA, modern and older games, without having to sit in front of a desk and a PC like we've just talked about. You might think, well, if you've got a PS5, you've kind of negated that because you're going to be playing that on a TV, unless you get a PS Portal, of course. Well, you could stream the PS5 to a Steam Deck with an app. I saw people doing that.
Oh, yeah, you should do that, yeah.
Well, saw those people doing it, and I thought, well, that's perfect. You know, I don't know if I'm basically it's like a Wii U now. Then, you know, if someone's using the TV or I'm using the TV for something else like a football match or something, I could still play the PS5. It's just going to stream to another device. So, yeah, I've set that up on the Steam Deck, and it works brilliantly. There's very little. I've got my PS5 plugged in directly into the modem with a cable. So hopefully I've kind of shaved off a bit of latency that you would have gotten if it was purely on the Wi-Fi. Plugged it in with Ethernet, and I get to talk to my Steam Deck, and I've been streaming it to my Steam Deck, and there's enough buttons on the Steam Deck to cover a DualSense controller, including the trackpad. You can still do some of the DualSense stuff, like you can fake the adaptive triggers, although it's not quite as good as the DualSense controller is very good, by the way. It's probably usurped the Xbox controller for me. I actually bought an extra one to use with my Steam Deck when it's plugged into the TV, which is great because obviously the PS5 controller has a trackpad. So just like the Steam Deck, you know, you can if it's plugged into the TV, you need to do a bit of mouse stuff. You can use that trackpad on there to do it, and it works perfectly with the Steam Deck. It even wakes the Steam Deck if it's plugged into a dock, which is very cool. It was obviously GTA 6 coming out. That's clearly not going to run on the Steam Deck. So, you would need a console for that or a high-spec PC. So I'm covered now for that. And I made it easier for myself by basically getting rid of some stuff that I just wasn't using anymore. I got rid of my Xbox One X, sold it. I got rid of my PS4 Pro because obviously the PS5 can play PS4 games, so it's kind of redundant now.
Sense. Yeah, makes sense.
So so I got rid of that. Got a couple £100 for both of them, which I put towards what I paid for the PS5. So I didn't pay full price. And, you know, I even got rid, and you're going to be like, what the hell? I got rid of my Lenovo Legion Go. Because basically it's gathering dust, to be honest. I've mentioned before that it's kind of... Sorry, go on.
So you've only got your Steam Deck now as your portable gaming...
Yeah, in terms of modern era things, it's basically PS5 and the Steam Deck now.
Wow.
I mean, I've got an Xbox One kicking around, but I don't really use Game Pass that much at the moment. It's been a few weeks since I've used it. I actually cancelled that and got PS Plus, so I can get myself some PS5 games like straight from the bat.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's a couple of quid cheaper as well, or about £1.50 cheaper. And there was some games on there that I wanted to try, so I've got PS Plus at the moment, the Legion Go. It was kind of I would use it maybe once or twice a month, and you may have heard me talk about it before. My main use of it was really as a PS3 emulator, and to be honest, a lot of the PS3 games that I like to dive into run pretty well on the Steam Deck with RPCS3. So the Legion Go was 90% redundant. And to be honest, in terms of performance, it's not a huge leap over a Steam Deck. I mean, I've mentioned Space Marine 2. You might be able to get it to run a little bit better on the Steam Deck, but it still would be fairly janky and not really to the level of a PS5. So I thought, you know what, it's sat there. It's, you know, I could potentially get a few £100 for it at this point in time versus if I sat on it for another couple of years. Got rid of that as well, made some money off that, and basically that kind of wiped out most of what I paid for the PS5 and the VR. So I've only got a little bit that I need to pay off to cover that, as I bought it on like a credit agreement to make it a bit easier. Basically pulled the trigger on that, and for some reason I thought you had a PS5. In my head, I thought you had both of them.
No. Well, I got an Xbox Series X. I've talked about that on here before, and I'll be honest with you, it's really gathering dust. And
I can't imagine you play it much. Yeah,
no, it's kind of like what was it the other day? I thought, I'll try one of the older Call of Duty games that I had installed on it, and using a keyboard to control it. You know, it was absolutely awful. So I think, it's funny. I can't sort of get controls right, if that makes sense, because I'm playing some games on the PC, Obviously mouse and keyboard, I think is the brilliant way to control things. But then you get when you're playing something like I'm playing San Andreas on my old system, and then you've got to control the car with WASD, and then that is awful. Is I hate it. So then,
I don't think those early 3D GTAs, the PC versions of them, don't think they have good controllers.
Well, no, lots of games is that when you're like, let's say if Gears of War and Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, I never really played that on a PC. I completed it on the 360 years and years ago, and then it felt like that was really good. That really worked. But then if I was playing it with a mouse and keyboard, and then you got to do driving with WASD, I find that extremely difficult.
That's horrendous, yeah.
Yeah, Mafia a while ago, and that was like a third-person sort of GTA clone, but set in the Mafia world, and I actually really enjoyed that. And I tried that with a mouse and keyboard, and it was awful. So it was like, okay, right, onto the joypad, and I did quite a few games actually with joypad now. But it's really just first-person shooters. The keyboard and mouse is the way to go. So I'm trying to sort of make the effort to go, okay, well, that game I'll play on my Xbox. This game I'll play on my PC. Yeah. So and it's not based on performance. It's purely based on controller, how it feels to control, and action adventure games are probably better on the Xbox, and then first-person shooters are better on the PC. Real-time strategy is obviously better on the PC, and then I don't know, platformers are, I'd say, better on the Xbox.
Yeah, and you probably would say any modern game will be better on the PC if it from the 2010s onwards, when controller support became fairly standard. So any game. You could throw that had a PC version, you're probably going to be okay, because it probably would have supported an Xbox 360 controller. Yeah. Probably really games from when the Xbox 360 was released. Although there's one funny one actually. Like we talked about Oblivion. The PC version of Oblivion has barely any controller support, which is odd because it was a multi-platform. It was developed for the consoles and the PC. But yeah. Try and port any of those controller stuff over to the PC version. So weirdly, if you want to play that, if you've got a PC but you want to play the original version of Oblivion and you don't really want to wrestle with the keyboard and the mouse, even though obviously it's potentially the best way to play any game, but you just want to have a controller, you're probably better off. And I've actually mucked around on this. Get the PS3 emulator, RPCS3 on your PC. Get the PS3 version of Oblivion and run it through RPCS3 on your PC, because obviously that supports controls. I was playing with the PS3 version of Oblivion on my Steam Deck, and it runs really well. It's one of the lighter PS3 games because it doesn't use any of the SPUs, the satellite processing units that are the ones that are were nightmares for developers to program, and caused multi-plat releases to run poorly on the PS3, but Oblivion doesn't use them at all. So you can actually I applied a couple of patches to the PS3 version that you can do in RPCS3 that unlock the frame rate, and also you can obviously you can increase the resolution so it looks a lot sharper than the original PS3 version. But yeah, do that. You've basically got the controls of full controller support, and it runs really well, and you can dial up the resolution past what the PS3 would originally do to make it look pretty much as good as playing the original PC version with the settings turned up. So that's kind of a workaround, a bit of an over the top workaround.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, but no, I never wanted to get. I couldn't see the benefit of getting an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5. Obviously, there are a few exclusives on there. But I think at the time they were still coming out on the PlayStation 4, which I've got. So for me, it didn't seem, and they were always sort of in real high demand. So they weren't just something that was on the shelf you could just go and pick up. So for me, getting a PlayStation 5 was never, if I got one, I was like, well, it'd be to play the Ratchet and Clank game and about 3 or 4 other exclusives, and that's all I felt like I would have sort of got from it. And and I think it wouldn't have been quite enough. And I still, I think at the moment with sort of video game systems, you touched upon it earlier, you kind of get into an ecosystem, and I think I'm in the sort of the Game Pass ecosystem, 70%, the Steam ecosystem 20%, and then the Epic Game Store ecosystem sort of 10%. And I mentioned before about the streaming and things, and what I like doing with the streaming is actually is showing off some of these sort of so-called free games that you get as part of Game Pass or part of Epic Game Store or come through from Amazon Prime Gaming. That's another good way to, if anyone's got Amazon Prime, you've got access to Prime Gaming, and then from there, like every week they put in new games and you can add them to your Epic Game Store. And
how does that work? Is it like an app you have to have on the PC, and then you get given the exe files or a folder, or do they just give you a code or something?
Yeah, that's it actually. So you go to the Prime Gaming website, and I just, when I'm sitting on the sofa, I don't know, once every couple of weeks, I'll remember that, and then I go onto it, and they'll have a list of like the latest games. And you click on claim game, and next to each one, it might have an Xbox logo, it might have an Epic Games, it might have I don't think there's any Steam ones, it might have a GOG logo. So you just go on there, claim the game, and then obviously if you're signed up to all of these things on your phone, I can hear you clicking, you're doing it now.
I'm searching for it,
You're searching it, Prime Gaming, and then it will just download, it will just put that game into your GOG, your Epic Games, your Xbox library. And so I think recently I got Mafia 2. There's been some of the Lego games on there. And
it doesn't support Steam apparently, but GOG and some others. But you can obviously get those running on a Steam Deck with the various workarounds. I can hear you typing now. Sorry. Prime Gaming. I know about it. I'm aware that they did offer these games. I never actually really looked into how. I thought you had an app and you had to live inside the app, like an Amazon gaming app, and that was the way where you launched the games and kind of like Game Pass.
What they got on there now is Saints Row, GAT Out of Hell, Wolfenstein 2, Star Wars: The Complete Saga. So that's an old 360 game. Minecraft Legends, whatever that's about. Thief 2 for GOG. Fate. What else they got here? I think some older games like Blood Omen 2, Legacy of Kain, Star Wars Battleground Saga. That's on there as well. Mafia 2, Mafia 3. Yeah, and then you just sort of add them to your account, and then when you get around to them, sort of give them a go. But really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of going back to the situation with the Xbox versus PS5. I think a lot has actually changed since the PS5 was launched, which, to be honest, probably was what pushed me to the PS5. I mean, we now know Microsoft are kind of abandoning exclusives, and I think it's going to be pretty soon that we know we're getting Gears of War on PS5 now. They'll probably it probably makes sense to put Master Chief Collection on the PS5 than people that have just been PS forever. we'll be able to play those Halo games maybe for the first time.
Do you think Game Pass will ever come to?
I'm not sure about that. That's kind of the golden goose for Microsoft, really.
Yeah.
All they have left.
But if you think you've got let's say, I don't know, 80 million PlayStation 5s out there, and if you go on to, sign up to Game Pass and pay however much money each month, 80 million additional users, or let's say 10% of those 8 million spending a lot of money each month to get access to all these games. And there's not many games on here that can't be played on the PlayStation, on the PlayStation 5 certainly. So I'd love to see a version of Game Pass come to the PS5, and then a version of Game Pass come into the Switch 2, and that's probably a little bit further off, but I can't imagine all the games. But
I'd probably say if you're starting from scratch and you don't have anything, and you think, should I get an Xbox or a PS5? I think you probably should go for a PS5 at this point in time, because you're going to get most of what used to be exclusive Microsoft stuff. Forza's already come out on the PS5, whereas the Xbox, obviously, you're not going to get like Ratchet and Clank or Sackboy or Uncharted like ever. So you're kind of stuck, really, if you do go purely Xbox. So I think it makes more sense to get a PS5 because you're going to be covered with a wider range of games than you would with the Xbox. I mean, Game Pass is probably slightly better value than PS Plus because they do put those brand new games as day one, whereas PS Plus, they don't really. Sony aren't always happy to put the latest Uncharted or the latest, big AAA game on PS Plus straight away. I don't think they ever do that. Actually, it's months after the fact.
I really like the Game Pass service, and this is, it's not an advertising for. I think it offers really good sort of value for money, and however, I don't know, £15 or whatever I pay each month, and that I get on the PC, the Xbox, and so on. But I think I love to go back and actually sort of see. I played a hell of a lot of Call of Duty. I played a hell of a lot of Indiana Jones. I'm going to play through Doom, The Dark Ages. Loads of games on there that I've genuinely, they've been like actually really good experiences, and potentially I would have bought those for the full whack anyway. So you kind of get sort of loads of little sort of indie games as well, which have been like a really good sort of service as well, and it's quite good. And actually, someone we had on the podcast, Mike, Retro Gamer Boy Mike. The company he works for, Antstream. They've just bought out Retro Classics on the.
What you mean? Where there's like a 2 megabyte game and you're spending gigabytes streaming it to to your thing? The impact on the environment isn't quite as massive if you just have that 2 megabyte game downloaded, played natively. But it's a really funny way to look at that service. I think it's a great service, but I'm not like throwing shade on it. But it was something Review Tech, not Review Tech, I say, God, definitely not him. Digital Foundry. How can I get those two mixed up? It was Rich. That's why I said Rich.
One's good journalism and one's just drama.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what was it? Rich from Digital Foundry, not Rich from Review Tech.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine him getting into a drama situation and talking about, I don't know.
They're not quite the same. They're definitely quite the same. But someone mentioned Antstream, and Rich said, "Oh well, it's not a great way to preserve old games because ultimately, you're playing a game that the actual file is probably about a few megabytes, but you're spending gigabytes upon gigabytes of streaming data to play it. So the cost of the environment and all that is quite.
I absolutely never thought of that. I was You know,
but you could argue that's the same with any stream that you're doing, right?
But do you know what? It is
stream a PS5 game, but you're going to go over the 80 gig of the game actually is at some point if you play it streaming only for months on end.
I'll sit here all day, you know, streaming YouTube videos and I'm streaming stuff on Netflix. So I don't think the Ant stream is probably, you know, if it was
not something you want to target.
I think there's plenty of other people in the world that you know, do a hell of a lot of streaming. But the point's very interesting about and actually, yes, I was playing it. I was playing Pitfall. I believe it or not, I've never played Pitfall, and that's obviously sort of streamed, and that's probably a game that's actually it's like 3K. Or something like that. Or someone's probably screaming and going, no, it's not 3K, it's 20K, you loser. Or, you know, it's only 200 bytes. But anyway, the point is, it's absolutely tiny. So if that's taking, you know, 1 megabyte or 2 megabytes or whatever, you know, a second or a minute to stream it, then, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's, you know, why don't they just sort of have a little emulator in there and you just do a 1 second download, and then you can sort of play it. Seems a bit simpler.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny way. It's a funny way of looking at it, but I do think it's a great thing. Ant stream. It's certainly better. You know, well, there's a lot of people that aren't doing anything about preserving like old games at all. So at least there's a solution there, even if it's not efficient. If it's probably what we're trying to say, particularly.
They got some PS1 games on there and old Sierra games and things.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty cool. It's very cool amount of range that they've got.
Because what I watched. What was it? Metal Jesus. The guy. Oh, he's a
Metal Jesus.
Jesus. And he did a little sort of 5-minute video on there.
Metal Jesus here, back again with another video.
And then he's just like, hey, the other day I just like to play games. And he's just like, oh, yeah. Oh, God, shut up.
The only ones that ever come up for me from him are the ones where he's just showing off all the other YouTubers he knows. You know, like here's 10 other YouTubers that, you know, tell you the opinion of this genre or something. Yeah.
And I say that I don't mind him. He does. I think sometimes his turns of phrases just irritates me. But you know, he does good content. But who's Adam Koralik? He's just like. I got something for free, and like, whatever. Yeah,
what is that guy's job? He's constantly flying to Japan and flying around, and I mean, it's probably cheaper to go to Japan from America, maybe. Sure, are you closer? I don't even know, but yeah, I mean, what does he do to be able to do? It doesn't look like a guy who's particularly
I don't know. He's just streaming, and I don't know. I don't know what he does, but he's I don't mind him going around the world and showing the stuff. But then it's like people that say, "Oh, I just bought this game. Oh yeah, whatever." Like, what does that even mean? What like? You didn't want to get the game. You just bought it because you were bored, or like
for the content. That's why. I won't say that, but yeah,
I didn't actually want it. I'm just like, oh, you idiot. Anyway, I like Adam, but sometimes his turn of phrase.
What about the
people
say
the same about me? I can't even remember what I was going to talk about before I went on that rant.
Yeah, the 8-bit guy. You know, he would kind of irritate me slightly when he would be sent. He gets sent all this stuff. They all get sent stuff by their fans, like LGR does as well. But he would get actual Amigas, fully working Amigas that people just sent him for free. And he would just be like, yeah, cool, I'm not really after an Amiga, but great, throws it on the pile. And these things are like £400 on eBay.
He's been on there moaning about... What was it? He makes all these games which, you know, they look really cool. Android something.
Attack of the Pesky Robots.
That's it. And then he did a video explaining how he packs them all up. And then he had a rant in the middle of the video that someone from the UK bought a copy of it and then left a review saying, I'm a really big supporter. I love your channel. I just wanted to buy this. So it was something, and I'm not even going to play it because I don't have an Apple 2 or whatever. I just want to put on my show. I'm a big fan of your channel. And he was like, well, actually, I make a loss sending these to the UK because the postage is so expensive, and I lose $3.
Well, he got paid.
No, he loses money doing it.
Well, right.
So I'm like,
wow.
Then, like, you dozy idiot. Why don't you?
Why are you doing this?
Postage then?
Yeah.
Why don't you charge people more postage? And
people on the internet, bloody hell.
And then he was like ranting at this guy.
The people on Steam reviews who were like, "Yeah, I played about 120 hours of it, but I don't really like it."
yeah. Where's my refund? I'm 400 hours in. This game's shit. Honestly, because I got beaten by a 14-year-old boy again. This game is rubbish. And anyway, yeah. So the 8-bit guy, I do like his things, but he was sort of saying that on one of his videos, I don't get as many viewers now, and then we don't put us out as much stuff, and people have improved the videos. It's like you've got to constantly. Improve your content, and you can't just keep on doing the same things, and you do the same things, but improve what you do, and
just like we do. But he did a very good. He did a very good episode on a self-driving car, which I thought was kind of cool. We're not allowed to use those here yet, but
probably a good thing.
Yeah, that was. He does do the odd really good thing. But some it's just like I know we just kind of took the piss out of it ourselves there, but some people that don't change or improve are fine. And other people, like, you just can't, like LGR kind of does the same shtick he's been doing for years, the same style.
But I like LGR. I like LGR. I love.
Yeah, so do I.
I love techno. I'd watch every one of his videos, and I think it's I don't like the coming on and ranting about people are not watching me anymore. It's I've been shadow banned. It's the algorithms. It's this. It's that.
New Tech USA. Yeah.
And
he's kind of back. By the way.
Oh, is he? Has he got another channel then? Or?
Search on YouTube for Rich Tomorrow, because that's the name of his new channel. You remember like the whole thing? Every time he had an opinion on something, everybody would spam the comments saying, "Oh, this is going to be Rich Tomorrow." I don't agree with what I said. Now he's named a channel after it, and he's actually been uploading stuff to it and kind of doing news style sort of 3-minute long videos like he used to. So
why is he not using his old channel?
I don't know. There's quite a few documentaries that people have made about him now, about his downfall, that are quite good. You should search. I don't know if he's going to get back to the levels he used to, but yeah, he's kind of back. ? So
I let me. I won't click on it now because the sound will start, but. Check it out for the lols. Well, I don't understand why he's not using his old channel, because this one is obviously getting.
Just because he's a weird internet person.
Yeah, because he's still doing the same old taking his shirt off while he's gaming, and then he's got a chicken behind him.
Yeah, he's still doing all the little meme stuff that kind of ruined it for me, really.
Yeah. And I'll start a video with. I'm gonna kiss this chicken, and great, and
I
don't know.
Anyway, we don't want to spend too much time talking about YouTubers, do we?
No.
Imagine putting videos on YouTube about video games.
Oh, I know.
Sad,
what losers?
Right?
Yeah, losers.
Anyway, absolutely. Anyway, Stu, where can you find us on the internet?
Right, okay, so got a big announcement. From now on, we're going to be on Patreon. and we're only going to release our episodes on Patreon for $9.99 a month because, you know, we got to pay for this shit. So we need your money on Patreon. That's Console Shock on Patreon. Only joking,
where is it,
guys? Oh, Patreon. We're not really on Patreon. So you can find us on Console Shock on our website, YouTube, to search Console Shock. You can find us on, where else? Twitter, Console Shock, Facebook, Console Shock, and any podcast client you can find us on just by searching Console Shock.
You can indeed. Well, thank you, everybody. Once again, as always, we really appreciate you listening to our shows. We hope you still enjoy them as we enjoy still making them. And we hope to catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody. See you later.
Take it easy. Goodbye.